Hello.
And welcome
to the Delusional Boyfriend Book Club,
where if getting railed down by 3 professional hockey players is wrong,
I don't
want
wanna
to be right.
My name's Courtney.
I'm Phoebe.
I'm Brooke.
And today we are talking about Pucking Around by Emily Rath.
Yes.
This is going to be our first Why Choose romance novel of the year. Last year, if you're into Why Choose, we did them every single month. This is Phoebe's first pick of the year, and she's a Why Choose girly.
And my first Why Choose ever.
Yes, Brookie's first Why Choose. I think this is actually our only Why Choose this year.
Oh, it might be.
I'm pretty sure.
So if you guys don't know what Why Choose is, it's reverse harem, or where a girl gets multiple boyfriends and doesn't have to choose between them.
Yes.
And this is going to be one of several books in the series. So if you love an author who gives you multiple books in the same universe, then you're really going to like this. Our tropes today are going to be reverse harem.
Yep.
We have a sports romance. We
have Golden Retriever Black Cat, but they're not, like, the female main lead is not either of those.
Yep.
It's like two of the male leads are Golden Retriever Black Cat.
And then we have a best friends to lovers situation going on. And then we also have a bisexual awakening happening.
Yeah.
And it's a coming out story.
And it's also kind of like a second chance because in the prequel, they like meet and then don't tell each other their names, and then they never think they're gonna ever see each other again.
And I would say along with that, it's also kind of like destined mates or what have you, and definitely a found family story.
100%.
So if you're into those tropes, definitely check out this book. Oh, sports.
Because this is a hockey romance.
This is hockey romance, which I think, like, out of sports romances,
it's everyone's favorite.
It is absolutely
and
like
everyone's right about that.
Yes, hockey romance is like a niche of its own off of sports romance because it has got so many books in that genre.
Yeah, it's the best.
And some super fans who like sometimes predominantly read hockey romance.
I have a whole shelf at my house that sit with my hockey jelly cat.
Yes. So we're going to dive right into this. It was my first time reading any Emily Rath books. Princess, have you read all of them?
Just her Pucking Around series, the Jacksonville Ray series. She has some Regency novels as well, which I have not read.
Regency, like historical romance?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And she also has a newer like fantasy series.
So thank you guys so much for being here. If you haven't already, make sure to rate, review, and subscribe. If you're on the podcast apps, turn on auto downloads and leave us a little review. If you're on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, it really helps us out. So that being said, Princess, take us through Pucking Around.
All right. So we actually start in the spicy prequel novella called That One Night. And we meet our female main character, which is Dr. Price, Rachel. She is a sports therapy doctor, and she is just lost this fellowship that she was really hoping and like excited about and thought she was going to get. And she's super depressed at her right after her brother's wedding. She can't do any more celebrating. She just wants to go be a sad girl alone in a bar. And she's getting harassed, of course, by a man. And they keep calling him Chad. It turns out his name is Brad, which is hilarious. And in walks in this beautiful, tall, sexy, big-ass man who she clocks immediately as a professional athlete, and he kind of rescues her, and they get to talking, and they end up having this marathon night of sex and connection and really like feeling very kismet that they met, but they had decided not to share names, and so they
or jobs or
anything
personal.
Like nothing personal except that she's a doctor and he's a professional athlete, and that's all they know about each other. And so they have this wonderful night, and she is leaving on a flight in the morning, and she sneaks out of the hotel, and that is how the prequel ends.
I just want to say, because this is something I wanted to comment on, I loved how when he was rescuing her from that gross guy, instead of like pretending like he was her boyfriend or husband, he pretended like she was his sister.
Straight up.
And I think that is just like immediately a green flag. Like,
I agree.
Just like clearly just like trying to be respectful, and saw a girl in a situation she didn't want to be in, and wasn't trying to like push himself on her. He was genuinely just trying to help her. And I loved that little detail.
Yeah, it was great.
I listened to the audiobook. You listened to the audiobook too, right? And so this prequel, if you listen to the audiobook, it is included, which is really nice.
Because you kind of need it.
Yeah.
It's important.
And I thought that both voice actors, these two first voice actors, Rachel and Jake, were amazing. I really liked the prequel, and I thought that it definitely set the stage, and it did a lot of work to like describe Rachel, and in my head she was very hot, so I really liked that you get her like jumpsuit so well described, and her nose ring and her tattoos, and all of that about her. And then it was also funny because this is the first time that the boy main character has ever had sex like raw dog. He says this phrase that will come up time and time again in the series, which is like, no rubber, no ride. But to be honest, this
literally not once
series never once did they use a condom in this whole book. And I'm like, the name of this book, if we could pick an alternative title, would have been No Rubber, Let's Ride.
Let's Ride.
I love any romance novel when you get, and I know it's a lot nowadays, but I feel like I just love when you get the point of view of both the male and the female.
Me too.
And I just love that.
It's nice to get in everybody's head. And so Jake Compton is our main character from the prequel. So jump to the book. Rachel is being a sad sack. She is back at her her regular what is she doing? An internship, fellowship, whatever.
Fellowship.
And she is super depressed. She's living with her best friend Tess, who we love. We love Tess. She's like a curvy, sassy redhead, and we will see her again in the future. And Rachel gets woken up. She's super hungover. Her and Tess went out, and she finds out that somebody dropped out of this Berkeley fellowship, and she is getting offered the job, and she has to be there in 48 hours. So she picks up, she moves her whole life. She's like, where am I going? What's the team? What sport is it? What are we doing? And so it turns out she's going to Jacksonville, Florida for the brand new Jacksonville Rays hockey team. And so she's pretty excited. It's like it's our first season in the league, so it's all brand new facilities, super nice, and she's stoked. And she has this horrible day of travel, and she is at the airport trying to get a rental car, and her phone finally turns off airplane mode, and she gets all of these calls and texts from this unknown number. And it's like, the Rays sent me to pick you up from the airport. I'm here. Where are you? It's been an hour. What's going on? And she feels really bad. And this is her first encounter with our second male main character, Caleb. And this is so funny because she's having a terrible day. They've lost her baggage. She has one of her 3 bags, which is the bag that has nothing of importance in it. And they're trying to put it in the car. It like bumps open.
It was like Tess's old suitcase.
Yeah,
it was,
so like
together.
Yeah,
it was
so like
a piece of shit.
It rips.
So the one that makes it through
is like the shittiest one that has nothing important. It rips open, and her giant tentacle dildo falls out, and she's immediately like, "That's not mine. I mean, it's mine, but I've never used it. That's just a prank. My friend must have put that in my suitcase as a prank. I don't use that." And he's like holding it in the parking lot at the airport. And that's his first impression of her, which is so funny. I love it. It's like such an opposite first impression that Jake gets at the bar of her. Like, she's so hot, and she's in this sexy like one piece, and her back's out, and she's got all these tattoos and her septum piercing. And her first impression with Caleb is like, this girl's a shit show. She also has a giant tentacle dildo. What's going on?
And those first impressions totally set the stage for their relationships, because Jake will always kind of treat her going forward as this mystery girl who he was so impressed with on that first meeting. And Caleb will always see her as this kind of like stressed out, crashing out, overwhelmed, overstimulated girl whose like hair is frizzy and kind of needs saving, and is clearly like a freak who is trying to look, professional or meet a colleague, but cannot get off on the right foot. And so Caleb comes to her saving in a lot of different ways, and kind of reluctantly. He's like, God, this girl's not going to cry, is she? And Jake never saw that side of her right away. So they initially get to bond in these 2 very different ways, which is cool, because I love when in these reverse harems, when each relationship is
like its own vibe,
it's
which is so fun.
distinct.
Yeah, and you get to cover all these different like sides of each other's personality. And I think this one is so perfect for Caleb because he's like on the outside definitely has his shit together, but like mentally does not have his shit together. And so it's like the perfect parallel for them to like connect, which is great. So that is his first impression. And then she gets locked out on her balcony. They turn out to be neighbors at this apartment complex. She gets locked out on their fourth floor balcony. She's calling him because he's the only number she has. She can't get a hold of the office. The office is closed. And so he helps her jump from her balcony to his balcony. And in that moment, she's like in a tiny band t-shirt and her undies, like no makeup, and is like almost gonna die. And so when she jumps over, she's like, I actually do use that tentacle dildo, which is so funny to me. And then she has this really vulnerable moment where she's like crying and she's like, I just miss him. And we know that she's talking about Jake, and we know that Caleb is Jake's best friend, but he does not know that Rachel is Jake's Seattle girl. That's what he calls her. And so he's like, oh, she's hung up on some like ex-boyfriend or something. She's not available. And so we go to her first day at work and she's getting a tour around the facilities and they run into Jake Compton. He's late. He had to go to the DMV to do something. And at first he doesn't recognize her. And she's like heartbroken. She's like, this is my mystery man. And he doesn't even fucking recognize me. And then of course, he does recognize her, and then he starts freaking out.
But she had her septum piercing taken out, and she had her hair up, and her glasses
on. She was definitely looking not the same as in the bar when she was a total like smoke show outfit. But it is just so funny because her first moment is like, oh my God, it's my dream man, and he doesn't even fucking recognize me or remember me, which is so funny.
And this, we have to remember, is also going to be the first impression that our third love interest would have had of her, is this very professional in her scrubs, without her septum ring on, in her glasses,
in full doctor mode.
And she has a very like doctor patient relationship with him. So I like that she has this very like professional first impression on him, and then a very chaotic kind of personal first interaction with Caleb, and then a very mysterious, like polished impression on Jake. And it's very fun that all of those different sides of her personality shine and are all worth falling in love with.
Oh, like, 100%.
She doesn't need to put on any one of those masks to make them all fall in love with her. And it's fun that we see she's like lovable all around.
Yeah. And you get to see, just like, she's just all these different people.
The duality of woman.
Yes. So then we honestly don't meet Ilmari, who's the third male interest, for a little bit into the book, but he is the goalie of the team. And it turns out Caleb is the equipment manager and Jake is a defenseman. So that's the vibe. And obviously Rachel is one of the team doctors.
Which I also love because of her job, she immediately clocked him for a professional athlete. But then she also in the novella when they're talking about like when she first meets him, she's like, he's an athlete. I don't know what sport, but he's definitely a defenseman.
Like the vibe of who he is.
Even though she doesn't know what sport he plays, she can tell his position, and I think that's fun.
Because he came up and defended her from this guy who was trying to hit on her. Like, he can read the room, he can read her so well, and he can see those plays coming a mile away. And I think that I didn't even really notice that till you just pointed that out. That's totally what he was doing, is defending his his person.
Yeah. And so Rachel, for her backstory, she is a super famous rock star's daughter. And then she was a total train wreck growing up, of course, in and out of rehab, tabloids. And then she got her shit together, became a doctor, and was trying to like make a name for herself and her own thing. So that's really important to the decisions that she's making in private versus in public for the whole story. That is a huge, huge part of it. And girl definitely has daddy issues, which is also a huge part of the thing.
But very close with her dad, and very close with her
but
whole
she
family.
had like a lot of issues growing up with him, and then he cheated on her mom, and then they got back together, and then they got divorced, and then she was dating like a 40-year-old and she was 16, and there's all of the things, she has like a very colored history that is important enough that it's mentioned and you can see how it's like shaped her, but she's not letting it define who she is.
In fact,
which is also important.
Is like using her experiences to try to move away from any credit that people would normally attach to her from her dad. So she wants to get her degree and her job, and now that she's a doctor and she's working for this team, she doesn't really want people to find out who her dad is because she doesn't want that to be the reason for her success. And she's definitely like overcorrecting in this direction where she has had bad experiences with the tabloids and the press, and she's trying to make her adult life like the opposite of that.
She's very aware of that.
And it has, you know, she's been so traumatized that she's like making a lot of her decisions based off of how do I not get back in those situations.
So she sees Jake and he's immediately like, okay, love of my life, I finally found you, we're gonna be together, you're mine. And she's like, no, we're not. I am here to do a job. We cannot be anything until my internship is over because this is really important to me and this job comes first and I don't want this to interfere with that. And he's like, okay, fine, we'll be friends. And then he's, you know, texting her incessantly, sending her pictures of pelicans
and his abs
and all of the things. He's like, okay, but here I am, I'm here, hi, hey, I'm here. And she's, you know, can't really resist his charms because she's totally fallen for him, but is really trying because she thinks it's important for her job and to not be involved with him at all. So that kind of sets the scene for where the book is going to take us. So our first like tension moment, Caleb is kind of liking her before he finds out that this is Jake's Seattle girl. He's like, there's a vibe. He's calling her a hurricane. That's like his nickname for her.
I love it.
I love the hurricane nickname because she came in and was just like immediately crazy chaos, but like great, in a great way. Like he says it very lovingly. And then to Jake, she's Seattle girl. And to Ilmari later, she is Rakas, right?
Yeah.
Which is Finnish for what, love or something?
Like goddess or queen or
it's
something
like that.
Yeah, I can't remember because I listened to the audiobook this time on my Kindle. It will tell me the translation.
But he says what it is.
Yeah,
I just don't remember. Because he talks about how close Rachel is to Rakas, which in Finnish is, I want to say goddess.
Yes, I think it's goddess.
Yeah.
So they all have their own little like cute nicknames, which I love. I think that's a common trope in like a
White shoes.
in a reverse harem, which I love every time. I love it every time. Like everybody has their little thing that is like their part of their special relationship within this like polycube, and I am so here for it.
And it helps when you have like the same voice actors for certain peoples or stuff like that, just to keep them all straight. So it is fun that she has different nicknames for each one of them, and they have different nicknames for her. It's very sweet.
Yeah, and so as we're getting to know Caleb, we're kind of understanding that Caleb is like he was in the NHL. He played 7 minutes. He had a devastating knee injury. He could not play anymore. That took him out of the game. And he had a really promising career. He was like the 3rd pick in the NHL draft. He went before Jake. They knew each other. That's how they became best friends. And now he's the equipment manager for the team because he was like super depressed. And Jake kind of like pulled him back into reality and was like, you're not like, this is not working. You're coming with me. We're doing this together. Like you're a part of my journey now.
So cute.
It's so cute. But
it's the best. And everybody calls them DLPs, which is domestic life partners.
You're kind of my domestic life partner.
I know.
Every time they said that, I was like, oh, my husband Phoebe. But I did like that there's also a differentiation between the fact that Caleb and Rachel are both salary employees working normal jobs, and that these other 2 pro athletes are millionaires who are on millionaire contracts. And that does come up, and it's something that, you know, in real life that might create like this power imbalance, and it's addressed in this in a way that the found like, family trope is important because they do treat each other as equals, even though 2 of them are like massive celebrities. One of them is trying not to be a celebrity, and the other one could have been a celebrity but kind of had it robbed of him. So they all treat each other as equals, even though 2 of them are really in the spotlight.
And so he is this like tortured kind of dark guy, and he is so broody.
Tattoos.
And he is out as like queer. So we know that he is like, he's into Rachel clearly, and you also kind of get the vibe that he is maybe in love with Jake, and that's important. But Jake is not in love with him at the beginning of the story. That obviously will change. Do you think that'll change for us?
I keep asking you to marry me, and you're like, straight up, no.
Actually, no.
Absolutely fucking no.
I get rejected all the time from Phoebe, just so everyone out there knows.
You just keep trying, baby girl. Maybe one day.
That's me. I never quit.
So things are, Jake is texting Rachel, and she finally is kind of drunk and breaks one night and like sends him some pictures of her boobs, and he's like,
Don't skim
oh
over
my
that.
gosh.
It's Tess, so her best friend.
Yes,
is the
Tess
hot,
is the one that encourages her to do it.
and I immediately
You are a Tess.
love Tess so much. As soon as she spoke, they're on the phone and they're like FaceTiming. She's like, "What are you looking at?" She's like, "Oh, this guy Jake." She's like, "Is he texting you?" She's like, "Yeah," and he just like he'll send me pictures of his abs, whatever. She's like, "Send him a picture of your tits right now."
And I love, because I feel like I immediately connected with Rachel. Like, I think I am such a Rachel, and you are such a Tess.
Yeah, 100%.
Such a Tess, especially with everything that's been going on in my life and the way that you're pushing me to do things that I don't want to do. In the most
I agree with
loving way possible.
I agree with both of you that you're very a Rachel and you're very
Yes,
a Tess.
Absolutely. And it was, as soon as Tess spoke, I was like, oh my God, deja vu. I've had this exact conversation with Phoebe and Brooke where I'm just like, tits out, and we're doing tits out, and I'll call you back once you've sent the tits. So
Do it.
send the tits now. Why aren't we sending the tits?
I'll be over in 5 minutes. I'll take the pictures for you.
Yeah. And there's a bonus chapter that like is in the Pucking Ever After Volume 1 that is a scene from the beach day that happens between Tess and Langley.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
that
good.
scene, you haven't read it yet, but that scene, if that happened to you, that is exactly
How
like
I'd
the way.
respond.
Uh-huh.
I
100%.
as soon as we met Tess, I was like, I hope she gets her own fucking book. And then
Yeah.
she comes back for like a beach episode. She's visiting everybody, and she meets a guy who kind of asked her out to dinner. And I was like, yes, we're getting a Tess book. We're getting a
Yes.
Tess book. And I was so stoked.
Yeah, it's so good.
And honestly, would have been my delusional boyfriend of this book if there wasn't so many good options, and she's only in like 2 scenes. That's how much I loved her.
Yeah, she's great. So things are getting like a little steamier with Jake and Rachel, and Caleb now is like knows that he's into her, but he still doesn't know that
Correct.
she's his Seattle girl. And so things are just, there's lots of tension everywhere. And the team goes on a trip, and Poppy, who is the public relations, she makes everybody go out to the club one night. And this is where everything finally boils over. And so one of Caleb's ex-girlfriends, who's a puck bunny and a total piece of shit who broke up with him, the worst, because he got hurt and was immediately sleeping with his teammates, she shows up and is all over Caleb, and Jake's immediately pissed, and Rachel's like, I fucking got this. So homegirl comes up and she sits right into his lap, and she's like, oh, Snuffy, which is the worst.
So the worst.
Thank God that's like, that
Never
doesn't
brought up again.
stick.
Yeah.
It's like
Despite,
it's
like,
totally
what
a joke.
The rest of the team wanted. They wanted it
Yeah.
to stick so bad.
Yeah, because it's horrible. But
I
she's
do
like
love-
flirting, and she's like, oh, this is my boyfriend. Like, get the fuck out of here, bitch, basically. And Caleb has no idea what's going on,
Yeah.
but he's into Rachel. So he's like, okay, this is fine.
And he mentions, so she's like coming over basically to like, yeah, get this. She says, we're going to do a bunny extermination.
Yeah.
And she goes to get this girl to leave him the fuck alone. And in Caleb's mind, he says something along the lines of, as a friend, I love her for doing this. And as something maybe more than that, I'm getting hard right now.
Yeah.
Like, and I do love, because she doesn't really have a friendly dynamic with either of the other love interests, but
Yeah.
her and Caleb are homies. Like
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
they're friends. and
100%.
I like that there is Caleb and Jake's like friends to lovers arc, but there's also Rachel and Caleb's kind of friends to lovers arc, and they never lose that friendship vibe.
Yeah.
And I think that's so cute.
And I think she just really gets like him as a
Yeah.
person in a way that's different than how Jake gets him.
Yeah.
Because he's like always, because he's in love with Jake, he's always like kind of trying to present his best but not be like too vulnerable in his friendship,
Mhm.
because he doesn't think he'll ever feel the same way about him. So he has a bit of a wall, and Rachel sees like through that.
Yeah.
And so she kind of brings him into the fold, and she constantly knows, like, she's very aware of what he needs, even if it's not what she needs, which I really love and appreciate.
Also, the
about.
growth for Caleb, I didn't really think about this until you were going over this.
Mhm.
The growth for Caleb for the fact that like this girl broke his heart, started fucking his teammates, the fact that he can now go into a
relationship
where
with
she
like
is
teammates.
fucking his
Mhm.
teammates, and like, and obviously he's there, so it's fine, he's a part of it. But like, I just think that like, for me, if that, like, if I was dating someone, got hurt, and then they broke up with me immediately and started fucking my teammates, like, I don't think I would ever be able to be in that situation again, whether I choose to or not. Like, I wouldn't be able to choose that. So, well, like,
and
I just love that.
And you hit those points of tension in the book a lot, which I love. There's never a miscommunication trope. That trope does not exist in this book. Yes. There is so much open. I mean, maybe for like a second, but then they immediately talk about it, and they're like pretty open about it, because otherwise it's not gonna work, which I appreciate about that, because it's such a common romance trope. It's kind of nice to get a break from that and just be like, okay, these people are doing something really complicated, so you have to be having open conversations, and this is like a really realistic way that you could actually make polyamory work. Like, I don't think you can be in a polyamorous relationship without having a foundation of open communication with each other and being able to be vulnerable and state your truth. Like, it wouldn't actually work, which I think really makes it like feel like real and then between them, which is really nice.
The other trope that I think gets used a lot is like people's insecurities. And right here, each one of these men has a moment where they consider their insecurities and then kind of like choose to shed those and not let them hold them back. And this moment when Rachel sits on his lap and looks at this Puck Bunny in the face and is like, you fucking lost a good fucking man. He is amazing. And basically says, you know, even though he isn't an NHL player now, he is still fucking way better than you ever deserved. And I'm lucky to have him. Anybody would be lucky to have him. And I think that quashes whatever small doubt might be in Caleb's mind that he's as good as the other hockey players, because she comes out, even though they're not together yet, she comes out and says like, any woman would be so fucking lucky to have this guy. And I really like that, because I do think he's able to move forward and be like, yeah, you're right, I am the shit. Like, she's always been able to see that I was the shit, even when I maybe didn't see it myself.
Yeah, for sure. And so after this moment, then Jake is kind of like, but that's my girl. And then Caleb's like, I don't know what to do, because like clearly Jake is into her, but I'm into her. And Jake's pulling her onto the dance floor and she's pulling me onto the dance floor, and we're all making out with each other on the stairs. And what's going on? And that's when Jake finally reveals that Rachel is his Seattle girl. And then Caleb is immediately like, oh no, I cannot
get in between you two.
I am not.
Seattle trumps hurricane.
Yeah. Like, I cannot break, like, I'm so into you, but I cannot, like, this will break my heart if I get involved, because you are going to choose each other and you're not going to choose me. And so that's kind of his immediate reaction. And Rachel is like, no, that's not the vibe, and pulls them into like a fucking, she's like, we got to get out of here because we're making out in public, all three of us right now, and Jake's a professional hockey player, and there's press, like, we're here for a press event. So they sneak off into like a linen closet, and they're all kind of like,
it's the bathroom, because
no, it's not the bathroom,
it's a closet.
It's a closet.
What?
At the club. The bathroom is at Rips. That's a different scene.
Okay, sorry, I'll cut that out.
So they go into this closet, and they're immediately like, what the fuck? The boys are like, what's going on? And Rachel's like, I don't know, but I'm into you both.
But
and
whatever's going on can't be going on out there.
Yeah, we have to do it in here, but I want to do it. And what's going on? I don't know, but I really want to fuck both of you, basically.
And she's wearing the onesie jumpsuit.
Yes, she's wearing the jumpsuit from the prequel
that Jake ever saw her.
Yeah.
And I do love how easy a one piece is to take off.
Yeah. And so they basically like agree that they're all gonna sleep together, honestly, is like what happens. They're just like thinking no further than like, well, we're doing this right now here in this closet. And so
my God, I just have to say this book is very heavy on consent. And I will say that, like, for a 28-year-old, 27-year-old, a 27-year-old, I felt like maybe a little too heavy. At this point, we're all in a closet, we're getting naked, and she's like, do you consent? Do you consent? I consent. And then we go over it again, and I was like, my boner's dead. It's dead. I get it. You all fucking consent. And maybe I'm the problem. Maybe I'm the drama, but I just don't need it clarified that many times. And then throughout the book, there is just consent talk up the ass.
I do. I mean, I agree with you to a point. I do think that because they're all doing this thing that they've never done
I
before,
know.
it
Yeah.
is really important for them to be like,
Yeah.
are we still good?
Yeah.
Because you
in
could
this
change-
scenario,
you
I
could
think
change your
that
mind
it's
so fast. You could think you're good and then suddenly be
Yes.
like,
Like, I'm not
actually,
good.
I'm not good.
Yeah.
And so
And I
I
think-
agree with you to a point. But
It
I also
could've
think
been
that this is a
2
position that neither
notches
of us
down.
have been in before.
Yeah.
And so I think it is a little bit more necessary. And I mean, you know, consent is always necessary.
It's
but you know what I
always
mean.
necessary,
Yeah.
but I felt like it could have been a notch or two less, and it's still very obvious. But I get that when there's best friends in a room as
Yeah,
well.
and I also think
you're
this
like-
very first one is the most that you're getting it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's also like, well, this is who my best friend has been telling me is the
Yes.
love of his life
Yes.
for 3 months.
Yeah.
And I know they have this special connection. And are you actually cool with me being here? Or are you just saying that you're cool with me being here? Because I'm also in love with you.
Yeah.
And I want to sleep with this girl. And I don't know what's really going on. You know, like I kind of get this one, I think is the most
especially
heavy
the first
on
one.
that.
Yeah.
And it totally makes sense to me. It didn't bother me personally.
I totally appreciate it because with a female writer and a feminist story and a romance novel, it's like it has its place where we see in so much media a lot of gray area or non-consensual things, and that just is what overrides most of like pop culture, and we see that as very normalized. So I like everyone's effort to go in the other direction. I just this scene is very heavy on it, but there's other scenes down the line where I'm like, we've all been fucking for months. But I will say,
But I also
not-
think
every time
it's
they do
not,
it, they're
it's
trying
not,
something new.
yeah. And I don't think it's consent. Like, can I do it? It's like, are you good? Because you have 2 dicks inside you
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And like, I'm about to put another one in your mouth. So like, we're good, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you're getting like physically demolished by 3 giant men. It's
I
probably
get
good
what
for
you're
them
saying.
to check
I
in.
hear you.
because
I
yeah,
hear
and
you.
it's
And I
probably
get it
something
too.
to do
I
with-
just don't think like it was enough in this book that it bothered me.
I
I've read it in books
I
where
would
it does
personally need
bother
some
me.
checking in
Me too.
occasionally here
Yeah.
in this situation.
I am a very dark romance girly,
Me
and
too.
I really like dark rough sex, and that's my thing. And so personally in these positions, if somebody asked me like more than once or was like doing a double check of nodding, I'd be like, everyone lock back in, we're doing something here. So
Yeah.
that is my own personal taste, but this is the first time it happens. And
Yeah.
I will say overarchingly, I do like very clear consent. That I just had to point it out that it's one thing within a story that I liked so much. Like I would rate this story so high.
Yeah.
That is one of my few nitpicky things. That and the repeated use of
The word pussy nip.
pussy nip. The word pussy nip is used when she's talking about like the smell of them and the smell of their body wash and stuff. And I was like, oh, if we took that out and we took out a couple times when everyone was like, we've all consented, yes. And it felt like a sex
pussy
ed
nip
class.
was necessary for the novella when she laughs while she's sucking
Yeah.
his dick because she thinks that in her head, which is so again
So real for that though.
Yes, like I am
Like
so
a
Rachel
stupid-
Coy because
yeah.
like I'd be like sucking dick and then randomly get a thought that
like
makes me giggle a little.
Yeah.
And like that I think was so necessary. I don't think that pussy nip needed to come up ever again.
Ever again.
But in that moment it was really necessary
Yeah.
for like the moment. But
I wonder because the prequel was written after the main.
No.
Okay,
No.
the prequel.
She wrote the prequel first.
that one night. Was
She
written
wrote
first.
that one
Okay,
night
okay.
and then wrote this
so
book.
she was
Yeah.
doing a funny little callback.
We are in the closet. Jake is gonna fuck Rachel.
Metaphorically and
We
literally,
open-
we're still in the closet.
We open Caleb's pants, and this is Phoebe's first introduction to one of her favorite things, the Jacob's ladder. We love a Jacob's ladder. I don't know
love
how
it.
Brooke, you
I
loved
love
it? Okay, Brooke also loves the Jacob's
okay,
ladder.
all I'm saying is okay.
Okay.
Hear me out. I love smut. I get very turned on by smut. I did not think I was going to get that sexually aroused in a book like this.
Oh, this one
Um,
does it for me more than almost any other book I've read, I think.
never experienced the feelings that I felt while reading this book.
Uh-huh.
The amount of times that I would put this book down to reach into my bedside
Yeah.
table,
It's so
It's actually
real.
unhinged.
Literally.
like
I'm
it
so
is
glad you
unhinged.
guys had that same experience
Unhinged.
because
I
that's how I felt
never
reading this the
imagined-
first time. And I like think about these scenes and I'm like, God, that's a good scene. And I've like reread the sex scenes from this book.
Okay,
I never
specifically.
imagined.
No, because I haven't had that experience with a book either.
Brookie, so when we were texting about this, I have to know now because Brooke, we texted her and I was like, I'm so fucking glad we're reading a book with high levels of sex.
Yeah, this book is so smut heavy, but in like a way that it didn't feel like nothing was happening.
Oh, no,
Well,
I
that's
love.
what I love because it's a long book, so
Yeah.
it can be a lot of smut, and there's still a full fucking story.
Yeah, I
which
love
I
it.
love, because I love smut. I just need a plot. I
Yeah.
never said that there's too much smut.
Oh,
There's
no.
no such thing as too much smut,
No.
as long as there's plot.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
there is both in this.
Yeah,
and I love
I'm
it.
just so glad you guys like
So,
this book. 'cause
I really like this
I
book.
read this book in 2023 and I've been like, somebody please. I've been telling Courtney to read it since because I was like, you would love this book. Brooks never read a reverse harem. I don't think I ever told you to read this book, but
You've,
I'm
like mentioned
I
it.
but
yeah.
I've always, and it's like on it's got a full display on my shelf. So like she knows I love it, but it's very exciting for me.
So we are texting and I'm like, I'm so glad to be having a smut heavy book. I was like, Brooke, I'm so excited to talk about gay shit with you because our first book was Ice Planet Barbarians, no gay stuff. Our second book was Funny Story, very romantic, no gay stuff. And then this one, I was like, I'm so excited to talk to you about the gay stuff and the like poly multiple partners. She's like, I have less to say about the gay stuff, but I will say this, and I quote, I always thought I was bi-curious, but I might be curious about something else. Brookie, can you tell us what that is? Was it the piercings? Was it the poly? What was
It was the poly,
Poly
for sure. Yeah, for
Okay.
sure.
I think for me, I loved it. I think the only thing that I'm very uneducated. I don't know a lot about polyamory.
Yeah.
Like I don't. But I don't know if this is kind of like also something that is a genre of it. I don't know. I sound so uneducated right now. But I would want 3 men that, because Jake and Caleb are in love and I love that, but I would want to be the center of attention always.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which
that's the only
I
thing-
have books for you.
Okay, great.
If you're interested in
That's
that.
that's the only thing that I would want differently is that I wouldn't want any of them to be in love with each other. I want them only to be in love with me.
Meanwhile, through
I
Josie-
need them to all be there. when we're
Meanwhile,
having
my
sex.
dream is I want 2 boyfriends that are also boyfriends.
and my dream.
I will say if it was Keaton and Bryant, that'd be different.
That's my gay roommate and his boyfriend. Just so everybody knows.
because they're both caked up and beautiful, so like pass.
And one's a doctor and one's an athlete.
And kind of both doctors because one's a doctor. and
Yeah,
one's
he is. He's a physical
therapist.
therapist.
No,
Oh, he's so
we
Rachel.
love them. A very Rachel coded bitch. Keaton is Rachel.
Uh-huh.
Very whorish.
But yeah, that's
Maybe I
all.
shouldn't.
I just
Slutty.
I never thought that I would feel the way that I felt when I read this book. And
Yeah.
I never thought I would feel the way that I feel about
That.
thinking about it,
Relationships
like,
and
what that
people
would be
and-
like in real life
Mhm.
and not in a book.
Yeah.
I always knew, of course, that I would be into Why Choose. And Princess was like, you've got to read this one. But then we got into Elle Thorpe's books. And if you haven't listened to our other episodes on Elle Thorpe, you absolutely have to, because I will say, like, even this one compared to Elle Thorpe, I still like Elle Thorpe's writing better. Maybe it's because it's murder mystery and there's
Yeah.
more plot going on,
Yeah.
but there's just as much smut. And I have always I have such a wild imagination, and I want all of the sex positions played out, and I want all of the different like double
Yeah.
yep, I want
Yes.
double
This-
vaginal penetration.
This
I
book
want
is my favorite reverse
Mhm.
harem smut that I have read. Like the actual smut parts.
very
I
good.
think she does it the best. And I was like, Courtney will be so happy
yes.
because there's like lube. And also I'm taking the time to, before I
stretch
just stick
people
my
out.
entire dick in your
Yep.
ass while there's a dick in your vagina, which I was like, Courtney will love it. Cause it's like very real, but it doesn't take
Mhm.
you out of it enough to like not be like, this is hot.
oh yeah,
It's great.
it is really good.
It is so good.
And we do get every different kind of scenario. We get like the train scenario, we get the double vaginal penetration, we get the butt and vag and blowjob,
Yeah.
and like all of the different human centipedes that you can imagine are
Yeah.
played out in this
Yeah,
one
it's
book.
great.
And I thought that was so good. And then I also like that in this book, we get all of the love interests in the first book, whereas the other reverse harems
They're
I
like
read with
3
Phoebe,
little books.
mhm,
And you kind of like get different scenarios each time.
each person gets focused on for like a whole book, and this
Yeah.
one felt like a lot more orgies just all the way through.
Oh, yeah,
and so
100%.
I was very into that. And as somebody who has been in a very monogamous relationship for 10 years, still trying to convince Wolfgang to get a boyfriend, but he apparently doesn't want one. It's annoying being the apple of someone's eye. But anyways, I love being able to like mentally work out these different arrangements.
Mhm.
And so this was a very, very fun one for that. I'm so glad Brookie's in on it because we're going to do more of these next year.
I'm going to be honest. I've been zoning out for the past few minutes because I was just thinking. I do want them all to only be in love with me, but then I was like thinking about scenes from the book, and I was like,
but wait.
But actually,
I can't wait to ask you guys your favorite sex scenes. Okay, because
I have 2 things that I can't choose between.
Okay, we're gonna get to that at the end.
Will.
Because really, though, I thought a different kind of sex scene would be my favorite, and there's one that's like way tamer that is my favorite. So let's keep going because I want to talk about that.
So we're in the closet. We find out that Caleb has a Jacob's ladder. He has 4 piercings on the bottom of his dick. This is my first introduction to a Jacob's ladder. The only books I've read that involve Jacob's ladder are hockey books. There must be something about a hockey player. They all fuck in the closet. It's great. They leave the club. They're like, all right, we got to go. Everyone's having a time of their lives. They're all happy. And then Jake immediately freaks out in the Uber ride. And he's like, I lived right out. You 2 are perfect for each other. What are we doing? Oh, this is horrible. I can't do this. Freaking out. And then he gets out of the Uber. And then Caleb gets out of the Uber. And then Rachel gets out of the Uber. And then they're yelling at each other on the streets, hashing things out. And they're like, maybe we shouldn't be doing this on the street.
They go into a Chinese restaurant.
They go into a diner.
Yes.
The Chinese restaurant is just where they argue in front of.
Yes.
And then they go into a diner and kind of like hash things out, figure out how's this going to work for them. And they come up with this insane plan that the solution to their problems is that they all need to live together. And Rachel's like, that's insane. And Jake's like, it's a great idea. Caleb, you're so smart. And she's like, you guys are crazy. What do you mean? And we've kind of come to the conclusion that hockey season is insane. They're all busy. Their schedules are nuts. And they're not going to see each other unless they're all living together. And so then they all move in together. So Rachel moves in and Caleb, they both move into Jake's beach house that he has. And before this, we get this scene with Rachel and Elmari. She's been trying to do his physical for like weeks, and he is clearly avoiding her. And she's finally like, what's wrong with you? Why are you avoiding me? And there's all this tension, and he's like, I'm not avoiding you. Goodbye. And she's like, he's pissing me off. I don't know what his deal is, but I know he's hurt. And so she's watching him like a hawk.
I like that we get Elmari's like the first time we meet him is in his POV, and he is looking out. He's experiencing some like groin pain from doing a butterfly in the goalie net. And we find out that he is like a 2-time Stanley Cup winner. He is really fucking good. Everyone calls him the bear. He is Finnish. He is very hot, and he's huge. He's 6'5", and he keeps like looking over at her, and he's like, God, I hope that doctor doesn't realize how bad my injury is.
No, but she won't stop looking at me. And also she's so pretty.
She's so pretty.
All of the hockey players, also the whole team calls her hot dog to her face.
Yes,
she knows that they call her that. They call her that, which I love.
I do love it.
Me too. It's so good. So Caleb and Rachel have this moment where Caleb's like, "Oh, Rachel's bailing," and he's kind of using it as an excuse to bail on this whole moving in with Jake. He's too vulnerable. It's too close with Jake. And Rachel is like, no, I just got home. I'm packing my stuff. Like, are you trying to get out of this? And then she kind of like brings out this dark side of Caleb, and they have like some kinky sex where she is just like gets her hips destroyed by a countertop, which
been there.
She's so real for that. She's like, it's fine in the moment. And then Jake is like, what the fuck happened to you?
He hurt you.
He hurt you. And she's like, I'm fine. I asked for him to do it. It's fine.
So this interaction with her and Caleb alone before he like helps her move her shit over to Jake's is the first time that we see the Dommy Daddy inside of Caleb.
Yeah.
And I was like, hello.
Every girl's dream. I mean, maybe not every girl on this couch's dream.
Yes. And I really love this because that dynamic is always my favorite dynamic.
Yeah,
also, a lot of the times the openly queer person is really hyper feminized or made to be like weaker looking and very stereotypically demasculized. And I love that Caleb is not that person. No. He's openly queer, and he is the dom. He's very dominant. He really wants to be in control of these situations, and he takes Rachel and like really puts her in her place and takes her
Yeah.
into this like subspace where she doesn't have to think.
And he loves being called daddy.
He loves being called
and
daddy.
she knows, she's like, I know that that's what he wants from me, and I am so here for it, so I am just gonna make it come out. She's like, I will draw it out of you because I know it's what you want, which I love.
She was really dominant with Jake.
Yes.
Like, she is a pretty dominant female.
Mhm.
And so for her to be able to like flip the switch
Yeah.
and be more submissive for Caleb,
Yeah.
that's another reason that it's like every relationship in this
Is different.
relationship is different.
And like
It's
by
so
the
great.
end of the book, all of the guys are like, she is doming us always from the bottom.
Yes.
Like, she is always the one in charge. Even when she's letting us have our moments of being in charge, we all know who's really the boss here, and she is letting us do it because she knows that's what we want. And I love that dynamic of like, she gives them what they need and she loves it, but she's always like
The one in control.
one in control.
She's a puppet master.
Yeah, for sure. Which, you know, you gotta love. I mean, women are so amazing.
They're so amazing. So they use the phrase "she's topping from the bottom" a lot, which I really like. And BL especially, you see a lot of like power bottoms and slap happy bottoms who have all of the control over somebody who is their top. And I really do like that because it evens the playing field. Like, you might be the one who is like giving it to me, but I will always be the one who is in control. Like, your heart is in the palm of my hand, and I always create the scenarios in which we're going to play in. So I think that's very cool. And then it takes us from that interaction with them on the countertop to going back to Jake's house, and Jake is so jealous and he sees these marks on her, and that's when we get our first like group dynamic between, well, not our first group dynamic where Caleb and Jake really start to reckon with each other and how they feel about each other. And Caleb calls out Jake and is like, you have a praise kink too. Every time I call her a good girl, you get harder. And so what's that about? Let's explore that a little bit. And so then we see Dommy Caleb actually starting to dom Jake as well, which I fucking loved. I ate it up.
So good. So they all move in together. They're having lots of sex. It's fun. They're having a good time. They go on the road, and obviously like Rachel and Caleb travel with the team because she's the team doctor and he's the equipment manager. So they are always traveling together, which is kind of nice because otherwise you would be having a way harder time having a relationship with a professional hockey player, for sure. And so they're on one of the weeks they're in traveling. Rachel and Caleb show up to Jake's room, and did they lose? Is he like, he's bummed, right? Isn't he like sad boying? And they're like, hey, we're going to make you happy. Tentacle.
Oh my God. Yes.
Yeah. And so they bring out the tentacle and they're like, he's like, oh my God. And so they use Rachel's tentacle dildo on them. They're like, I know you have a favorite setting. And she's like, yeah, it's number 5 or whatever, which is so funny.
Number 3.
Oh, number 3. I was like, yeah, I love it. They're like using the tentacle on her, and then this is the first interaction that we get where she's like getting double dick down, and it's full on DVP, which I thought was so interesting that we got that before we got
anal
DP or anal of any sort. So I was like, I think this was the first scene I read that had a DVP scene, and I was like,
nice,
interesting,
here for it.
That's interesting. Oh, interesting.
I thought you were going to talk, when you were initially talking about the away games, I thought you were going to talk about Mars. So Ilmari, the goalie, he has this weird, what do you call it? A good luck charm? Or
he has, it's like a
superstition. Superstition.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to talk about this. So Ilmari's superstition is that he always has to sit in row 20 and
in the window
seat. And he sits alone. And the whole row's to himself.
And everybody lets the goalie do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, because goalies are weird, but
if you
respect
piss off
the
goalie, then you're going to ruin your game. So they let the goalie do whatever he wants, and you don't touch the goalie, and you make sure that the goalie's happy. So every time they travel, also during this, we have Ilmari sitting by himself in this first scene. Rachel happens to be sitting in his seat, and she doesn't get out in time by the time they're like taking off. So then they have a shutout game, and Ilmari is like, he's like, okay, well, you sat by me last time, so you have to sit by me every single time. So this starts,
and he's like, what are you doing? Why aren't you sitting next to me? And she's like, what do you mean you didn't want me to sit there? And he's like, well, now you have to sit there because it worked.
And
so then that's where you get their dynamic of like their friendship and how she's kind of noticing that he is this like lost puppy that his only thing in life is hockey, and he clearly has this injury that he's hiding because this is the only thing he has. He has nothing else. He like doesn't have a family. His mom's dead.
And so when this injury first started, the main doctor on the team is a fucking dickhead.
Avery.
And basically told him like was trying to get him to just like not play hockey.
Was
Just
basically
retire.
like, you either retire or you shut the fuck up and keep playing.
And that's the only doctor opinion he's gotten. So that's why he was so scared of Rachel.
He's so cagey
he
with
was afraid
Rachel.
she was going to do the same thing to him. And so then they have their moment when she's like, I'm going to help you.
Yeah. And his whole dream is being on the Olympic team for his home country. So if he gets benched, that will get in the way of his whole dream. So this relationship with this doctor becomes his good luck charm and his superstition, where she has to sit by him on every plane, is a double-edged sword. Because first of all, if he doesn't do his ritual, then he'll have bad luck. But if he does his ritual, then this doctor will get to know him better and start knowing his tells, like how much pain he's in. And also he is so attracted to her, and she starts being like, if we're going to sit next to each other, you have to talk to me.
Yeah, she like forces him to like open up,
be personal. And then Caleb and Jake are watching from the sidelines, like, you can't piss off the goalie, you have to make him happy, so we'll let him sit by our woman. But also, what the fuck,
they're
are
starting
they
to get the vibe
falling
that
in love?
like there's a vibe between them, and they're like, Mars and his giant monster dragon cock. Which is so funny to me because it's a common topic of interest the whole book, which is just so funny. I love that dynamic of like, it's not like a jealousy thing, it's just like it is what it is, and what it is a giant cock.
It's a giant penis, and I'm a size queen, so you know I'm obsessed with Ilmari as soon as he enters the picture.
Because even when they confront like Rachel about it, they're like, listen, like, it's cool, but like, does he understand what he's getting into? Because if you want to fuck him, that's fine, but we're not going anywhere. And so whatever we're doing, it's new to all of us. We're trying to figure it out. But like, he needs to know what's going on as well. And he needs to either be all in or all out. Like, it was never, like you said, it's never jealousy. It was like, just figure out if he can actually hang. Because obviously, even if you are starting to like him, you still feel the way you feel about us, and we feel the same way about the situation. We've moved in together. We've done all this work to like kind of start navigating through this new thing for us. And so like, figure out if Mars is cool with that, because we can't picture him being cool with that.
Yeah, which that brings us to one of my favorite scenes in the book. That happens in this scene. So they have this beach day. They have the whole team over for beach day. Tessa's in town. And she's kind of like, oh, Ilmari clearly has a crush on you, Rachel. And she's like, no, he doesn't. She's like, yeah, he's so into you. Are you adding a third to your harem? And she's like, what? Whatever. And so she, at this beach day, convinces Ilmari that he needs to go with her to Cleveland to her old practice to get checked out, get scans that are not on the record with the team, so that if they do find something, he's not immediately getting benched and they can like come up with a care plan. Because she's like, I cannot diagnose you for groin pain. Like, that could be, groin pain can mean anything, and you're not gonna, like, you're only gonna get hurt more if we don't figure it out. And so she like finally wears him down, convinces him, because he shows up to this beach day, which everyone's shocked because he wants to see Rachel. Of course, because he has a crush on her because she's Rachel. And so after the beach day, everybody leaves, and we have this like reckoning within the threesome that is Caleb and Jake and Rachel. And they're like, this is sudden death. Lay it all on the table. If you have something to say, now's the time to say it. Get it out, because we're figuring our shit out right now. Like, it's important and we have to talk about it. And so this scene is so good, because this is our first scene where Caleb is like trying to he's like, I don't want to participate in this. I don't care about this. Jake is like, I'm in love with you. I want to marry you. And she's like, I love you too. Okay, Caleb. And she's like trying to draw him in, and he's like not interested. And so she's like, well, he does actions better than words. So here we fucking go. And she knows that the gauntlet for him is going to be Jake, and he's interested in Jake, and he wants Jake to be a part of, like, he needs more from Jake. And so she kind of like sets him up to like, let's fucking go, and also sets him up for Jake to be comfortable with this daddy side of him, because it hasn't come out as much. He's been like directional in the bedroom so far, but he hasn't gone full daddy dom yet. while Jake has been there. And so she's like, let's fucking do it. And Jake's like, what's going on? And this scene is so
This
good.
is my favorite scene. And I couldn't believe this is my favorite scene because we have so many scenes with all three guys. And we have the tentacle scene, which Phoebe's like, the tentacle scene was your favorite, right? You have a tentacle. And I was like, yeah, you know, I like
like
tentacles.
so far where we both were in the book. But
I know.
And then you were like, no. And I was like, oh, it was like the Gauntlet, sudden death. And you were like,
yes. Yeah. This is my all-time favorite scene because it is the full gay awakening, bisexual awakening. It's also the moment that a very masculine character allows himself to be submissive and submissive to somebody who's his best friend. And he has never, like, first of all, been gay. And he's also never been on the, like, less powerful side of a dynamic. And everything that happens in this scene was so kinky for me. I was like, this is the height of the tension. This was the moment where all three of them, I felt, were like concreted in this way.
Like this, we are going to be together. This is what's happening.
And people are like, oh, I like romance. I don't like smut. Well, I think that smut is romantic.
Yeah.
And I thought,
amen, sister.
Yes.
It's a part of it.
And I thought that this sex scene was very romantic because it shows like, okay, I have never really like gone out of my way to, these best friends have fucked other girls together in college and they have always made it about the threesome, but they've never made it about why they so badly want to see each other in those dynamics. And finally they're open about that, and all of that is so romantic. It's also so fucking kinky because we have somebody sucking his best friend's dick and then spitting the cum into another girl's mouth. And I was like, that, of all the DVP and everything else we get, that is so intimate. It's like, it's beyond anything I've ever tried with anybody, where I'm like, that is the experimental, like pushing the boundaries, intimacy that I want to see in a romance.
Yeah.
I also,
loved it.
this is when she like is teaching him how to give a blowjob.
Yes.
I thought that was when Ilmari, after their trip, and then Ilmari's there because he wants to see the dynamic before he commits.
That's the second time
scene
that they like
in the kitchen.
are all together.
Okay.
Yes.
But this is the one where the chapter ends with Caleb going, he's like doming hard, and he's like, okay, if that's what you want, then get on your knees for me, Jake.
Yes.
And then Rachel's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
That's how the chapter ends, which I love.
And then I love Rachel teaching him how to give a blowjob.
She's like, you got this, baby. Because she's like, they call Jake their angel because he's just like so golden retriever. So like he's down, but he might need a little encouragement. He is like he has a praise kink, and Caleb talks about it, which me too.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's just
me
like,
too.
If you want me to call you a good boy and you want me to reward you, you'll get on your knees and not ask another fucking question and do what I say.
Yeah.
And Rachel's like, don't worry, Jake, I'll show you. And
Yeah.
she's like,
I'll show you,
like
but
this.
here are the rules. Do not swallow his cum. And he's like, and him and Caleb are both like, okay. So this is also a scene where she is doming on the floor while Caleb is doming. She's also like, puppet master, which I
Sneakily in
love.
charge,
This whole scene is very good. So this kind of solidifies those three. Like, you can tell things aren't really going to come between them anymore because there's been this tension of like each of the men. Rachel's been fine the whole time. The men have been having these moments of like,
doubt.
I lift out, like you're better for each other, like you have a better, closer relationship, and this is kind of like sealed them as like the three of us are a foundation and we will all be together, which is great. And then she goes to Ohio with Amari, and we find out that her old doctor she worked for is his actual father, which is a crazy
soap opera twist.
Crazy twist.
Loved
and
he
there's
does not have a good relationship with
he was like adopted by a family because his mom died when he was like 13.
17.
I love this drama so much. I was like,
it's like, and it's like a little unexpected drama.
Yeah, I was like, I did not see that coming.
Right. And he like leaves, he storms out, he's not into it, and Rachel's like, please come back, like we don't need to talk to him. I literally just told him to fuck off and that he's a piece of shit. And even though I have a professional relationship with him,
not only she was a professional, but like he was her mentor for a really long time.
She like really respected him.
The reason she wanted to fly Mars there to see this doctor is because she trusts him.
Yeah.
And so for him to react the way that he did, And like
he knew and
He
didn't
knew.
say anything to Rachel
Yeah.
and was like totally taking advantage of the situation.
And they tried to play it off like you didn't tell him, you didn't tell Mars who the doctor was.
Yeah, like it was her. He totally tried to
Yeah.
gaslight her, and she was like, "No, you're a piece of
Yeah.
shit." She's like, "But
So
Mars, we do need to get the scans. Like, please come back and get the scans. I'll do anything. Like, please." And so they go, and then he kind of like tricks her into going in up to his hotel room with her because her bag. He has them take the bags to his room.
He's
And
like,
she's
there might have
supposed
been
to.
something valuable
Yeah,
in there.
she's supposed to stay with Tess, and so after they go to dinner with the doctor, it's like so awkward because they're just like stoic Finnish men. She's having a terrible time. It's the worst. And so they finally leave. She goes up to the hotel with him, and then finally Ilmari and Rachel hook up.
And this is after they had one kiss like a couple chapters earlier, and she did reveal that to the other guys.
Yeah, she
and
told the guys,
and
and they're like, we know you have something with Mars, like,
because she called him out for looking like he was in. It was like
in pain,
yeah,
and he like frustration, like pushed her up against,
responding to her questions and interrogations,
just like kissed her. And she was like, "What? Okay."
So she
Kissed him
has.
back.
Oh no! Don't do that.
No.
Not that she like needs permission from the other guys,
Yeah.
but she has their stamp of approval
Yeah.
on this person.
Yeah.
Like Brooke said, they just wanted her to figure out if he was
Yeah.
game.
They're like, it's fine. Like, we support you. And honestly, both of them in their own like private POVs are like, she can sleep with the whole team. I don't care.
As long as she's
like,
with us.
as long as she's here with us, I just care. Like, we just care about her.
And I think,
and
yes, I think that they didn't care ultimately.
Yeah.
They just wanted her also with them. But they did.
Oh, no, but they care. I mean,
But
you
they,
care.
but they
You
did
care.
also like they were like, yeah, well, like you can be with Mars if you want, if he's game, because they're in their head they're like,
he's not gonna be game.
Goalies-
Yeah.
all goalies are loners, and Mars is even more of a loner than other goalies.
Yeah, they're like,
no
sure, it's
chance
fine,
Mars is gonna
whatever.
be down with this.
Yeah.
So on the plane ride over to Ohio, he like tries to hold
Oh
her
my
hand.
God.
Actually, I love this scene because
This is so cute.
he is sat in first class. Somebody sits down next to him and he's like, "Why aren't you sitting by me, Rachel?" She's like, "I didn't get myself first class." He tries to bribe that guy. That guy won't take it. So he goes back and sits in coach with her. And then he takes her hand and she's like, "Hey, I want to be here for you and be your good luck charm, whatever. You can't fly without me. You need me as your doctor, but I need to be up front. I'm with Caleb and Jake."
Yeah.
And he's like, "That won't work for me." But then by the time they're at this dinner, he is realizing that
like
it doesn't
matter because he is so like interested in her. And so they go back to the hotel. They finally bang. He has a giant dragon monster cock, as the boys have told her.
Just say when. Tell me when. Tell me when.
There's
okay. There's no way. And so they bang, and then she finds out that he is immediately hard again. He has no refractory period whatsoever, which is
love fiction.
Fiction's great. And so then, yeah, they like have sex. Then they do anal. She never blows him, which is the funniest part of this whole scene. Because like later, they're like, "Did you blow him?" And she's like, "No."
And this is a very blowjob heavy book, I would say.
Oh
more
yeah,
blowjobs than
girl
anything else.
loves
And
to suck a dick.
I love sucking dick.
Yeah.
I
like
loved all the blowjobs. Sometimes I feel like when I read smut, there's not enough blowjobs.
Yeah, there
Yeah.
should be more blowjobs.
Let's be realistic about this. There's a little every time.
between every single position.
Yeah,
100%.
I like that rule, Brooke. I'm gonna start implementing.
It's a very important rule.
Your
And
husband's gonna love that.
There's a lot of pussy eating in this too.
Yeah,
And
which
she comments on it. She's like, a lot of guys act like pussy eating is a chore, but not these guys. They
Yeah.
all like to eat pussy. And I'm like, let's set the standard for the ladies, because
Yes.
that's what it should be. If you're not getting ate out first, we're not having sex with him, ladies. No
Yeah,
penetration until
100%.
you've been ate down. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they hook up in the hotel room and then they head home.
Yep. They head home, and the guys immediately, she shows up.
Well, first, on the way home, Ilmari is like, okay, so I know earlier I said absolutely fucking not.
Yeah.
But now I'm
just
down,
curious,
but
like, I just need to
the
see like the
I
dynamic.
need to see what you guys are
Yeah.
all like together.
So she shows up to the house, and they hear her come in, and then they hear other footsteps, and they're like, "Oh, she has Mars with her." Like, okay, it's happening. And she walks right in and kisses Jake and says hi to Caleb. She's like, "I'm not going to pretend, like, I'm not going to not be with these men when he's around just to make him feel comfortable, because that's not the dynamic that we have," which I love. She's like, "I'm into you, but if you can't handle it, it is what it
This is
is."
one of my favorite parts of the book.
Yeah. So then Jake is cleaning the grill. They have dinner together. Jake is cleaning the grill, and they're in the kitchen, and she's like going to give Caleb a blowjob, and Mars is just like, why would you do that to your dick? Why would you do that? And he's like, I don't know, because I did it. And he's like,
ask Rachel how it feels or something.
yeah. And he's like, I'm just so curious. And he's like, well, do you want to, he's like, can I touch it? He's like so curious. And this is the funniest scene because he goes to just feel what it feels like. And that's right when Jake walks in and he's like, what the fuck is going
Rachel's
on?
like on her knees, like fully naked, and then Ilmari is just like touching
it, and he's
and
like,
not in a sexual way. He was genuinely just curious about the piercings.
And Jake is immediately like, nobody touches Caleb except me and Rachel.
And he's
that
like,
is
I
my
walked out
man.
of the room for 4 minutes and you're already fucking without me, and he's giving you a hand job.
It's such a funny
And
scene.
Jake has to reckon with the fact that he is maybe comfortable sharing Rachel. He's not comfortable sharing Caleb.
And this is the point where he finds out like that's really true for him. He's
Yes.
like, oh no, I will share Caleb with Rachel, but Caleb is mine, which is interesting because the dynamic does change after Pucking Wild.
Oh my god!
In the Pucking Ever After Volume 2. So
oh my god, I
read
have
that
to
and
read
we'll
right away.
and we'll discuss.
We'll do a bonus episode, everybody. So
we'll
make
discuss
sure
because the
I
dynamic
feel
does
like
change
this
a little.
one is we're all so excited about it, like, and we all have very similar opinions, and there's a lot of books in it, and I do feel like more than any other books that we've read so far for this feels like one that we should maybe do a little mini series.
We should do a bonus episode on it.
Doing episodes on it, and like no pressure, like not like a deadline to read them by, but like when we all are like kind of like when we've all read them all or as we read them, like if we can try to squeeze them in, I do think that this is one that we should try to do at least a little. Like
I mean, at the very least,
book.
you're gonna have to read Pucking Ever After Volume 1, and we have to talk about Emergency Contact.
Yes.
It is
so good.
I didn't know
Chef's
that they
kiss.
were going to read that novella.
Chef's Kiss. It's so good.
It's so
we'll
fucking
either
good.
do a bonus episode for each one, or we'll do a follow-up where we just cover the full series after we've all binged.
We could do a
follow
bonus
along.
episode, like a mini episode for
The little novella.
The little novella.
It would
and
be
then
short.
whenever the time comes, we can do Pucking Wild, and then do another little mini episode for, whatever. We can kind of figure it out. But I feel that we are all feeling the same way about this book, more so than any book we've read so far.
Happy because
so we should continue this.
Yeah, this is our vibe for all of the other reverse harems we've done. And I will say that, like, if we ever return to a full calendar year of reverse harems, I won't be mad about it.
Yeah, they're so fun.
Genuinely, I still am like in shock. Like I just genuinely.
That's okay. So, do you want to know how I read this book, you guys? My Kindle would not stop recommending that I read this book. It was like, this is the book you want to read, and I was like, I don't know if I'm into that. And then it was like months, and I was like, you know what? Maybe let's just
Worst case
see.
scenario, I'm not into
It turns out I'm super into it.
Yeah, this is your
Into
niche
it.
specific.
I'm
I
so into
love
I want
it.
it to be my real life.
Yeah,
read about it.
I'm so into it.
Phoebe got me back into romance novels with this because I was so into BL and manhwa and manga, and like I love BL so much. And she's like, it's just as gay. There's just as much gay stuff. Like there's
like,
also
there's
straight
also
stuff.
there's both.
There's both. She's like, you can.
There's a little for me. There's a little for you. Actually, it's all for me. I'm into the gay too.
Yeah,
I'm
but
into it.
I was like,
I'm into it
okay,
all.
you've hooked me back in because it's just this has so much heteronormative stuff, of course, that I love, but it really is all around queer because there's all these dynamics. So I'm so excited if Ilmari and fucking Jake or Caleb. What are you saying? Okay, we'll have to follow up because I need to know who Ilmari puts his dick in. Now, continue, please.
Okay.
I have to get back to reading these books.
Dick in
Okay.
me.
Yeah, God
Is
save
it
me.
me? Spoiler alert.
I hope it's
Can it
me.
be?
So then we've kind of got so Mars is in on the dynamic now. Kind of. He's kind of like put himself here.
He's made
like,
himself okay with it, but
he's
says,
okay
I'm
with
not
it,
gonna
but
be with you guys,
he
but I
doesn't
will
want to
with
be
her.
in it.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not gay, so I'm definitely not like fucking you guys. But he's with Rachel, but he keeps kind of stealing her away. Like he keeps like taking her to his house, and the boys are fed up, and so they show up at Ilmari's house. It's so good. They show up at Ilmari's house with like ice cream, and they're like, "What's up,
It's another
guys?"
great bonus episode in the novella.
Yes.
Okay.
What's up, guys? We're hanging out. Here we are. We're at the house. We're hanging out. And Mars is like, what the fuck are you doing in my house? And they were like, you can't keep just stealing Rachel. Like, we all live together for a reason. And they're like, this is why we asked you to move in. And he's like, you did not ask me to move in. And Jake was like, I asked, are you moving in? He's like, that's not an invitation. He was like, well, actually it was. So Ilmari decides to move in. And so this is when the foursomes start happening, which is very fun.
It's so fun.
It's so fun. I love the dynamics. So in the actual plot line of the book, Ilmari has like a small tear in his labrum, and so he has been benched for like 3 weeks, and his first game back is this game where the Finnish Olympic committee like that chooses the team is going to be at the game, and Rachel has the night off and Caleb has the night off, and so they go to the game, and it's Caleb's idea. He's like, Rachel, it would be so funny if you wore Ilmari's jersey. Like Caleb will go crazy. I'll wear Jake's jersey. You wear Ilmari's jersey. Jake's gonna be upset. But you gotta support Ilmari for this. Like, it's his big night back. And
Caleb is such a
He's such a shit stirrer.
Yeah.
Such a shit stirrer. Which I
downplayed
love.
it. He's like, yeah, Jake's gonna be a little bit upset, but like
it's no big deal. And so they get to the game, and Jake, as soon as Jake notices, he comes up to the boards and is like,
what the
take
fuck
that fucking off right now. He's so mad. And then he's lit up the entire game. He's fucking smashing people into the boards. Everyone's like, whoa, Compton. The whole game is so aggressive because of it, because he's like, he's not the captain, but he's like gonna be the captain when Sully retires, is basically the vibe that you're getting. And so all of the defense is like now super jacked up. The game is crazy. It's super like high intense physical game. And we're nearing the end of the game, and Rachel turns to Caleb and she's like, do you know what would be kind of funny? If we traded jerseys, that would be kind of funny, don't you think? And it's totally her idea. And so they switch jerseys. And that's like the game ends. They switch jerseys.
As somebody who
the men are doing post-press interviews, and they sneak into the post-press interviews in the swapped jerseys, and Ilmari and Jake are furious.
As somebody who likes,
livid.
Oh my god, I love this.
I love
it so good.
This is my favorite. I know. Okay.
Yeah.
Rage baiting your partner is like part of a healthy relationship. And I really loved this because they are pissing these men off just to see a rise out of them. And they're not thinking it's funny. They are so mad. They're
so mad.
They're
They
gonna
are
kill
like,
somebody.
Like fuming mad. Like Jake is like, you have to drive. I'm gonna crash the car.
It's
I am
so
so
good
mad.
Well,
because
and so
Caleb,
after the game, they go into their like Mars goes to his like interview with the scouts and for the Olympic thing.
No, that's after the next one.
Yes. So this one
he has 2 games that they come to.
Yes.
So this one, he like does the post press interview, and then he's like, he doesn't even give anybody a chance to talk to him because he's so mad that Caleb is now wearing his jersey and Rachel is wearing Jake's jersey, and he's so upset about it. Jake's pissed about all of it because now Caleb is wearing Amari's jersey, and that's unacceptable. And so they like sneak out and get home, and Caleb FaceTimes them while they're driving home, and he has Rachel blindfolded, naked, tied up on the bed, and they're like, I'm gonna kill him. They're so mad. And this whole scene is so fucking good.
It's so good.
Oh my god.
So then they hang up the phone, and then they're like on the drive back, they're like plotting like what the fuck
they're like, okay, we get there, we're tying him up,
but especially Caleb.
we're tying him up and we're gagging him and we're blindfolding him so he can't see,
but he can
because he
listen
gets
to
off
us
on that,
fuck our
and
girl.
he can't say directions, which he also gets off on, but he sure as shit is gonna hear us fuck Rachel. It's so
good. And
this is kind of where
back.
Ilmari becomes like, him and Jake become like a team, and
which
so
I love,
he's more like
you would
in
also
it.
you would think that like that would maybe, because obviously like Jake is like, I don't want her wearing Mars' jersey, I also don't want Caleb wearing Mars' jersey, so like fuck Mars.
But Mars is also
not,
like, I also don't want her wearing your jersey, and I don't want him wearing my jersey. So they're like in it together,
being, like
in
what
the
could
best
have turned
way.
into a fight between the two of them ended up being like them teaming up, which
I
do
love,
because Caleb and Rachel are the wives and girlfriends. They're the
they're
real
the
housewives
wives
of the NHL, and
this
dynamic is so funny to me that like Rachel and Caleb are like, that's like kind of her gay bestie and also her boyfriend, and so the way they can rage bait both of those guys together is so good.
So
and
good.
everyone knows, like, as long as your man's not a criminal who's gonna like beat you or something, an angry man having sex with you, there is no better person to have sex
man,
with
you're
you.
just getting like smashed down.
Oh my gosh, so they get home and
This girl's
literally
living my dream.
Caleb is eating out Rachel when they get
Yeah,
home,
and they
take
pull her
him.
And
off.
she's blindfolded.
Yeah,
So
she's
she's
blindfolded
like,
and tied up, so she
and
can't
so
move.
she's in her head. She's like, they're gonna fucking kill me.
Well, they're like, oh, she's like, haha, this will be funny, and then they rip him physically off of her, and she hears like
Not the sock.
like furniture, like the ground. They're like yelling at each other, and she's like, "Oh my god, they're actually
And
gonna
I
kill
think
him."
at one point, doesn't one of them go, get a sock,
Get
put that
the
in his
sock,
mouth.
yeah.
Yeah. And so she's like, what the fuck
What
is
the
happening?
fuck is going on? And so yeah, they tie him up to the dresser and blindfold him and stuff a sock down his mouth so he can't talk. And this whole scene is just.
And
It's so good.
Ilmaria initially was like, I don't like sharing whatever. And this whole journey for Ilmaria of being like, oh, I'm a voyeur too.
Yeah.
I like to watch. Not only do I like to watch, but I really like to have multiple people.
Yeah.
And so this is very fun because, again, him and Jake are bonding in this way where Caleb, a lot of the times, is the ringleader who is like doming everybody. And once he's put in the corner, they have literally overthrown the ruler. And once he's over in the corner, they've like thrown Ilmari's jersey over his head. He looks pathetic over there. And they get this chance to bond with each other over Rachel, which is fun. And then they pull Caleb back into the mix after he's been sufficiently tortured, because anybody who loves to watch, any cuck who has a blindfold on is in a state of pain. So they finally let him go and let him join back in. And again, everybody's like on equal footing and everyone's had their little taste of revenge. And it's very fun, kinky.
Well,
angry,
and this is like
sex.
a different side of Jake in the bedroom than we've gotten so far, because Jake is kind of like, he's so mad that he's like, now I'm running the show today and I'm pissed. And then he's like, Caleb, get that ass over here. I'm fucking that ass. And Caleb's like, what?
I'm sorry, huh?
Wait, are you serious? And Jake's like, yeah, bitch. And Rachel's like, I'm crying. I'm so happy right now that my boyfriend's gonna fuck my boyfriend that's in love with him. Like, she's like so real.
It's so good. And I think is this the butt plug scene?
No, that's the next scene.
Okay,
but this is the one where she fucks Jake, then she fucks Elmari, then they let Caleb go, and then they're like, he's like, I want to fuck Caleb while he's fucking Rachel, while Mars is also fucking Rachel. Mars, how fast can you get it back up? And and then her Rachel and Mars are like giggling, and they're like, what's so funny? And she's like, he basically has no refractory period. And Jake is like, I was bragging about that night 6 times, which I just love that dynamic when they can like laugh with each other. That's like one of my favorite things about a reverse harem is like the male relationships with each other, especially the ones between the two people that don't have a romantic connection within the polycule. I love that.
There's a name for it. It's like the monomore or something.
We talk about it
in the second
book. And they talk about it in this book. His sister mentions
in the second book when
really
Jake thinks it's called
it's a melamore?
Melanoma? Metaphor. He thinks it's called a metaphor. And they were like, it's not
Ilmari's my metaphor. And they're like, what are you talking
And so then he calls Caleb on the phone and he's like, what would you say Mars is to me? And Caleb's like, I don't fucking know. You just woke me up. And then he's like, isn't he my metaphor? And Caleb's like, metaphor is a figure of speech, which is exactly what the guys he's with just told him. Sorry, that's next book, but it was so funny.
It's like maybe it's metamor.
It's metamor. I think it's something like that.
So,
anyways.
That's the next episode.
So they're laughing, but then this scene turns out to be Mars is in the pussy. Okay, Caleb's in the ass. Jake is in Caleb's ass. Caleb has never been penetrated before. Jake has obviously never penetrated a man. And so Rachel is just like basically in this giant NHL hockey player sandwich. And there's 2 giant hockey players just smashing her to pieces. I'm like, this girl's living my dream.
Yeah, no, this would be a dream. And Phoebe at the beginning of this episode was like, Courtney, you're going to love it because they use lube and preparation and everything. And I was like, yeah, except for Caleb in this moment.
No, they do it because
he fingers him for a second. But I was just like, oh my God, the way that this for your first anal experience would be way too intense. And
For sure,
overall,
but then if
we
you're
did
in
the
this
best we
situation,
could.
it's like you're not going to say no.
You're not
probably.
going to say no, but also Jake
It's a
is like a
lot.
big hockey player, and he's not going easy on this guy for his first time. And I'm like,
No
honey, you
way.
be
You shouldn't.
bleeding.
Kayla was such
No
a
way,
shithead
but he
that
was
night.
so
Yeah.
he deserved
And he probably
it.
was
And
bleeding.
he's such like a daddy dark sex person that he was loving. You know, he was
definitely.
loving it.
There is, and they do mention several times that he has to be like, stop, relax, and
Yeah.
he's like, definitely. They mention how intense it is, which I liked, because in some of the other reverse harems we read, Brookie, it would be like two guys are in my puss, and I've never had anal before, and suddenly they spit on it and shove it up my ass, and I was like,
that's
girl,
real.
it wouldn't even like.
Yeah. There's this part in this scene specifically, and Caleb is like, Jake is like warming Caleb up, and he's like, come on, man, you gotta relax. You've done enough anal. Like, be so for real right now. And I was like, he's really real for saying that. Like, you know what it takes. Now that you're the person, you gotta figure it out. And I was like, yeah. And I just loved it. I loved that like line. I don't know why.
And
just,
for all you
loved
girls listening who haven't had it in the ass yet, I will tell you, it's 80% mental and relaxing. That might sound cliche. If you cannot mentally relax, nothing's going up that sphincter.
Yeah.
So figure it the fuck out. And I did like that because it was very realistic, where he's like, you have to relax.
Yeah,
You
or it's
fuck
not gonna
girls in
work.
the ass, and you know that like, yeah, relaxing's half the battle here. And Caleb does get himself to relax. And I loved that also he is not the only person to bottom in that relationship, and that it will return back to Jake, and Jake will also have to figure out how to do that later on.
Yeah.
But yes, this part, although I think it would have been a lot more painful for him, I thought it was pretty believable in the fact that they like slow down. And then Ilmari's like, oh my God, I'm already in this girl. I'm going to blow. Like, can you guys fucking figure your shit out back there?
And I also just love, because this is why a Jacob's ladder intrigues me so much, is because there's all these scenes where they're doing like double penetration or like DVP, and the other guy is like, I can feel it. And I'm like, I just want to know what that feels.
Yeah, me too.
Like inside. So bad. Like, so
Single
bad.
P would
Do you think they make like
a dildo? Well,
yeah.
I mean, they make one that's like ribbed all the way.
Yeah.
I'm sure it exists, but honestly, it's hard to even find a picture. That's why I had to send a boy a picture of my boobs just so I could see
what it looks like.
A Jacob's ladder in the wild.
Do you know what's funny? Okay, so the picture, one time Phoebe did tell a guy.
That was a true story.
We've told it on the podcast before, but one time a guy who had a Jacob's ladder was texting Phoebe, and she'd seen it before, but I was like, can you show me? And she was like, no, it was on Snapchat.
No, I had not seen it.
Oh, you had not seen it before this picture that we got from him?
No.
Oh my God, guys. So
that's why I was like, I'm down. I want to see it.
This is why I'm a test, because I was like, Phoebe, we have to get this dick pic. And
was this before or after you had read this book?
Oh, after.
It was after.
This was my first introduction to a Jacob's ladder, and ever since, I have been so curious, and I have looked online for photos. They're all like a weird clinical drawing that shows, you guys, this was the first, I was like, I just want to see it so bad.
So I am like, Phoebe, get a picture from this guy. The guy's like, you get a picture first. Phoebe's like, I don't have a recent picture of my tits. We do a full on like boudoir shoot. And get these pics of her.
Totally worth it.
Honestly, that dick, I don't get to see very many dicks in the real world. And that was worth it.
It had 7.
It was worth it. That was very intriguing to see. And now that I'm thinking about it, Princess, I can totally pierce my dildos, and I'm going to pierce one of them so that it has a Jacob's ladder, just for science and research purposes.
Let us know. We will get back to you because I know you want to know.
Yeah,
both of you. About me, it's that I love science.
Yeah, I love science.
We're very scientific.
We're pro science here.
We're actually women in STEM.
This is a science project.
This is women in STEM. This is a science podcast.
For both of your birthdays this year, you're getting a pierced dildo.
Oh my God, that is so sweet.
That's so generous.
Thank you.
Because I love you and I know you.
I can't wait to conduct this science experiment with you.
Me either. This is my dream. Okay, so moving on. That happens, and they're like, yes, best night ever. And then the next day is a reckoning of reality. They get to work, and Poppy's freaking out because there's all of these photos and videos from Rachel and Kayla being little shitheads in the stand. So then there's a video of Jake freaking out. So then there's all this like they're in a love triangle, and Jake stole her from Caleb, or Caleb stole her from Jake. And then there's also pictures of her in Almari's sweater, and then they switch, and then he's getting involved, and it's honestly a media shitstorm a bit. And so Rachel immediately starts freaking out. And this is where old Rachel comes into the picture, because she's like, I can't ruin all of your lives. Like, she's packing her shit. She's like gonna leave. She's like running away from the problem because she cannot face this reality. Yeah. Then the Toronto game happens. It's a shit show because they're playing the guy that broke Caleb's leg.
But they didn't tell Rachel
but
this. So
Rachel doesn't
just,
know.
Super tense. They're like,
and Ilmari doesn't know either.
Yeah, and they don't want to talk about anything. And every time Rachel tries to bring it up to Caleb, why Jake is taking this game so like, what's going on? Caleb's like, just
it's not. Don't worry about it.
And then Jake plays like a
madman, and then there's a like somebody hits Ilmari, and if you fuck with the goalie, the whole team is on your ass. So then he's fighting the guy, the whole team is brawling. Jake the fight breaks up. They're just gonna get a penalty. Then Jake goes back at him and he gets ejected from the whole game. So the coach sends Rachel to go make sure he's okay and that his hands are okay. And he has like a laceration on his face and he's freaking out. And Caleb shows up. And that's when she finds out that, yes, this is the defenseman that broke Caleb's knee. And it's like, it's always bad when they play in Vancouver and everything's bad. And then they have like a moment where they finally kiss. And Rachel's like, oh my God, because they haven't kissed. Caleb and Jake haven't kissed yet, and you can tell Caleb's yearning for it, but he's trying not to push Jake. And so they finally like kiss and break the tension, and then somebody comes walking up and they break apart, and then Rachel's like, Novi has a skate to the face, Rachel has to go, and then they close the door and they're like going at each other because they're finally like admitting that they want to be together. And so they're full on like making out, and Caleb has like undone Jake's like
and they don't
pants.
Just immediately jump on each other physically. No. They have like a full like really
beautiful conversation
about like Jake finally admitting that he thinks that he is bi and wants more with Caleb, basically,
than just sex. Like he wants to be in a relationship with him too. Outside of just like them,
and then they jump each other's bones,
and then they jump each other's bones, and then things are getting hot and heavy, and a different guy walks in, like full on sees them, and it's like, oh no, they like try to jump apart, but it's clear that they were like hooking up. And this is after when the jersey thing happens, then the NHL teams are texting each other that Jake and Caleb are gay for each other, and there's all this press, and so there was already kind of rumors happening, but Mauro and Novi have made it clear like they're trying to take Jake out to breakfast because they like want to support them. And so there's kind of been like a clear, like the team's going to find out. We were going to come out as all dating Rachel, but we were not going to come out with Caleb and Jake being together. And now it's clear like the team is going to find out, but they feel confident enough that it will be okay because some of their teammates have already been like, we support you. And Ilmari's already been giving some guys shit that we're being shitheads about it. And so this whole night is just chaos. And Ilmari goes and he meets with the Finnish team because they're at this game again. And he finds out that he's going to be offered a spot on the Olympic team. And he tells them about the situation with Rachel because he's like, they specifically mentioned that he has no bad press or no really press about his personal life at all and how that's really appealing to them. And so he's just lays it all out on the table, and they still offer him the position on the team, which is wonderful.
They're like, in Finland, we don't mind.
We support you having sexual relationships in Finland. We don't give a fuck. Like, you do you. You're good at hockey. You're playing in the Olympics for us. And so that's great. But otherwise, things are kind of going crazy. And
Rachel's very triggered because of her own past with the press and her dad being a rock star. So she is starting to freak out that she's going to ruin everyone's career. Her own career is going to be ruined. And the boys are kind of like, we could handle this stride by stride. But Rachel is starting to check out.
Yeah. Well, then the coach calls them all in. And then they have Vicky there. And then they have everyone. And it all comes out that Caleb and Jake are together, and they're all with Rachel, and Ilmari and Rachel are together. And honestly, the main issue is that they're like, we already knew you and Jake were together. You and Caleb are just coworkers. That doesn't matter. You're actively treating Ilmari as his doctor, and that is where the issue lies. And Ilmari kind of stands up for her, like, no one was listening to me. I was in pain. Like, this is why she did this like outside care, and they're like, what outside care? And it turns, they like lay her off basically. They're like, you're suspended, we have to do an investigation, and so turn in your badge, whatever. So she leaves and she goes home, and this is when she packs her bags. Thank you. And so she's like freaking out. She's like, I'm ruining everybody's lives. Like, I'm packing my bags. You're never going to be on the Olympic team. He's like, I'm already on the team. I already told them everything that happened. She's like, okay. And Jake's like, don't leave. And then Caleb's like, you know what? We're not going to beg. If you're going to choose us, then you're going to choose us. We'll be downstairs. You do what you need to do and figure it out, which I love too, because he's so right about it. He's like, and Jake is like, no, we have to do something. And he's like, it doesn't matter. No, she's going to do what's right for her. And if leaving is what's right for her and leaving us and breaking our hearts, like, then we know, and we have that answer, and we know that she's willing to do that. And that's like an important thing to know, even if it's going to hurt you. And so she doesn't. She's like, they're right. And then we have another great foursome.
Yep.
Yeah, this one's
with
great.
lots of blowjob stuff, which is fun.
Yeah, would you like to get into it?
No, it's just fun that like
will you hand me that?
In this moment we have Elmari, who has the biggest dick of all of them, and she is blowing Elmari, and the other guys are having fun, and I just think it's fun.
Yeah, I do. I love the switch in the dynamic once Caleb and Jake are like open about their feelings, because then it's like, it's just like Elmari and Rachel will go do their thing, and Caleb and Jake will do their thing, and then they'll all eventually come together. But it's like, it just, the dynamic changes, and it's just like in a really good way.
In a really good way. And I love this scene before they like split off into twos. They do all come together, and so Jake is blowing Caleb. Rachel's sitting on Caleb's face. Elmari's dick is down Rachel's throat, and then they like move, and Rachel is fucking Elmari. Caleb puts a vibrating butt plug in Rachel. Then he puts one in Jake. And then he fucks Jake finally. And it's just a great scene.
I love that. You missed one of my favorite parts, which is when Rachel is riding Caleb's face, and then Jake comes up and starts fucking Rachel. So then Caleb is kind of just like getting teabagged in the face and eating the badge. And I was like, double oral, this is great, this is beautiful, and honestly not a dynamic we see very often. While it's blowing Elmari at this point,
and he's like, so that means he's like standing over Caleb, so oral. Everything Caleb is seeing is just balls.
And I really like that, and it
too.
Triple oral. I was like, she's really trying to hit every dynamic, so very fun. And then the vibrating butt plugs is really fun because Jake is being dommed by Caleb, and he's like, both of you, I'm gonna like turn up the vibration if you don't do what I say.
Yeah, but don't come. You can't come.
There's so much edging in this, which if you're like an edging girly, this is the book for you. So very fun foursome here as well.
Yes. And then Rachel because Rachel can't be at work, she decides like she just needs to get away from all of the press and craziness. And so she goes to be with her family because Harrison, her twin brother, showed up and kind of talked her off the ledge before the like Vancouver game, because she was like having this PR nightmare, and then he had shown up. Her dad had sent him, and so he kind of talked her off the ledge, and then things were fine, and then things were really bad. And so she was like, I need to be with my family, like get some clarity, go to our house. There, she's in what, like Palm Springs or something, and just like unplug. So she doesn't have her phone that is like the phone
she has her phone. It's not really ringing, and she's just getting a text every once in a while from Jake, and she thinks that's like a little strange, but she doesn't question it very much.
She wanted to unplug, so she
and she doesn't have like social media or anything already, so it's just mostly like the guys that are texting her, and so she's not getting as much from them as normal, but she thinks that's like because they're trying to just let her have her time, which they are, but also there is heavy plotting going on.
So good.
It's so good. So then the guys are on an away game in California, and so she's gonna go. Like I think she doesn't even want to go, and her family's like, you're going, like we have to go. Right? Yeah, and so they take her to the game, and they're like doing the starting lineups, right? And they announced Jake and Ilmari.
Well, first they get out of the car and there's a bunch of people outside
with like
the
pride flags
the
and
arena
stuff?
with like flags and like we support Rachel and love doesn't have a
The price is right.
or price love is priceless.
Yeah,
or whatever.
and she
like,
doesn't
just a bunch
really
of and she's like,
know
"What
what's
the
going
fuck
on.
is
She's
going
just like,
on?"
what the fuck? And they're like, it's cool.
Like, we love you. Like,
Yeah.
thank you. You've opened our eyes. Like, we're supporting you.
Yeah.
It's great.
And so then they do
She's
this.
confused.
So she's pretty confused, but she's like, okay, like, I don't know what they've been up to, but it must be something. And then the starting lineup happens and they announce Ilmari and Jake as Ilmari Price and Jake Price. And she's like,
and their jerseys even say
and their
Price.
jerseys say Price. And she's like, what the fuck is going on? And it turns out that all the guys changed their last name to Price. And they're like, we're yours. Like, and we are openly happy about this. And so they've like told their whole, it turns out they've told their whole story to the press about everything that's going on with them, their relationship, how Jake and Caleb have like a queer relationship within this whole dynamic, and how Rachel was the whole team kind of comes to support Rachel. And they're like, she is the only doctor who's actually listening to us. She's the only one that cares about our well-being over the team's well-being, and she's actually protecting us. And because she was like gonna lose, she lost her job basically, and so they like have her back, and they're like, Avery's a piece of shit, he doesn't care about us, like he's such a bad doctor, he's not doing his job basically, which is to protect the athletes. And so she kind of has this whole redemption, like she gets her job back, the public is behind her, they've done this whole public campaign to like get people to support them. They fire Avery, and the guys after the game are like, let's get married. And
she said before the game, she said, if you win tonight,
I'll marry you
tonight.
Yeah And then they do.
Yeah.
And we had at the beach scene way earlier, she kind of asked them all if they wanted to be married.
Yeah, she's like, what do you want in life? And then they're like, well, what do you want? Because we want what you want.
And they all want a family. So that's what it boils down to. And in this moment, also, we know that each one of them can't all get married because like being polygamous is illegal in America. Yeah. So she is specifically also talking to Ilmari, and she's like, if I have to marry one person legally, it'll be the person who needs a visa. Yeah. And then Caleb and Jake are like, well, if we have to marry somebody legally, it'll be, we'll practice our right to have gay marriage. And so it's very sweet. And this moment where everybody is supporting them, the boys are like, we couldn't let you in on the press release because you've been so traumatized. Yeah. But we needed to show you that for every troll, there is going to be 1,000 people who are behind us. And this is like a really beautiful thing. It's not you going to rehab, it's you falling in love, and everyone's here for you. So it's all out in the open. The Olympic team knows everybody. Jake has been accepted by everyone as gay. And it's a very fun kind of fantasy world where people accept queer people. Yeah. And hopefully we can make that a reality.
Yes. And so they have the wedding it's like in Hal's backyard, and he plays music, and it's just like the team there, and they're close friends because it's so last minute. And Rachel marries Ilmari, and Jake and Caleb get married, and then that's also they're all married, but they're legally married to each other. Mm-hmm. And then what happens?
And then after that, we flash forward to the Olympic Games.
Oh yeah, so that's the end of the book, and then we're in the epilogue, and they're at the Olympics. Ilmari is playing for Finland as the goalie, and they're in the gold medal game, and he gets a goalie goal in this game, which is unheard of, which is I'm like,
it was exciting.
It was she wrote it so well that you're like, oh my god, come on. Like,
as girls who
goalie goal
as girls who don't really watch sports, well, you guys both kind of watch football, but like I cannot usually get into like a sports themed book unless it's written kind of for
it's not
me.
And
this scene was written for me, where it was like, oh, you don't know what a goalie goal is, but very
you
quickly,
can tell like the vibe is like, this is a big deal,
it
and
never
it's very
happens,
exciting,
and it's very exciting. And so I was really in the moment with this, like, oh, I am a sports girly, like,
so exciting. And this is like it's like 2 years later, right? Is the Olympics. And so he wins the gold medal, and they're like having a foursome, and he's wearing just his gold medal, which I love. I'm like, so real for that. And they decide to
at first when they get home, they're like, "What do you want, Omari?" He's like, "I want her to myself right now." And they're like, and Jake was like, "The only reason that this is happening is because you just won the Olympics.
Yeah.
So fine, you can have her for a little bit, but
Yeah.
don't forget about us later."
Yeah, but then they all get in on it, and they decide that it's time like to have a baby, and Rachel's like took her IUD out, and so then you're like, oh, she's gonna get pregnant.
Yeah, and then she tells them, "I took my IUD out," and then they all take turns coming in her.
Mm-hmm. So they're like, we'll just make a little magic potion, and then whoever's the daddy's the daddy, but we're all the daddy.
It's so funny because Omari, she gets in there and she's like, "What do you want to do?" And he's like, "You know what I want." And she's like, "Oh." And everyone thinks, "Oh, you just want her all to yourself."
Yeah.
But what he's really saying is, "I want this to be the night," because her and Omari had already kind of talked about the IUD earlier. And he's like, "Jake, you and Caleb need to go play over there by yourselves, but do not come." And he's like, "You think you can fucking boss us around?"
He's like, "Yes."
And he's like, "Yeah, do what I say." And so they're over there playing with each other, and they're like, "God, you can't like take our wife from us." And he's like, "Just be quiet." And then he comes in her, and then he's like, "Now both of you come over here and do it. She is we're going to get her pregnant tonight." And it was very cute because it's one moment where you're like, "Oh, I thought we were past him being possessive." And it's like, he's not being possessive.
No.
He is trying to orchestrate this plan where they all have equal opportunity to come inside of her.
And like from the very first scene that they hook up, it's clear that he has like a huge breeding kink. And so for him to be the first person to like try to get her pregnant is like so perfect.
Yeah. Between the tentacle, the breeding kink, the multiples, the gay stuff, I'm like, this is everything I'm interested in, all wrapped into one. Really loved it.
I'm glad you finally read it.
In the first scene when she jumps onto Caleb over the balcony, I thought she was going to pee on him, and I was like, oh my god,
dude,
we're going to have piss kink right here at the beginning. Piss kink.
That would have been funny. Like for me,
that would not have been in a kinky way.
When you first said that, my first thought was not even kink. It was that would be fun. That's like something that would happen to me.
Yeah.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be the start of something beautiful, but I never got my piss kink in this. That's the only thing. But I did love this foursome. I love a breeding kink. I definitely have a breeding kink, and it made me kind of irritated that I'm not trying to have a kid right now. So good for them.
I also just think that like with this book, there was a lot of things that I didn't think I was going to be into that I really enjoyed. But I also just like something that I love about all three of us is that we can read books and there can be something sexually in a book that we're not into, but like I still really enjoy reading it because I'm like, okay, like that's a whole new perspective. I never thought about it.
Well, and sometimes I'm like, oh, I
know.
didn't think I would like that, but I did.
Yeah, but I do. I love reading about all different kinds of kinks, even if I'm like, even if that's not for me.
Yeah,
I'm interested. Like I'm intrigued. I'm 100%. I want to hear about it.
There's a scene we're reading Haunting Adeline later in the year. And it's a dark romance. And there is one scene that I'm like, that was crazy. And that was not my vibe, but I guess it's somebody's vibe. Right. And I overall love that book. Mm-hmm. And I love the sex that they have in that book. But you'll know the scene when you read it that I'm talking about. And I'm sure if you've already read that book, you will also know the scene I'm talking about. But it's like, oh, I guess I didn't even think about that being a thing, and I guess it is a thing.
That's what I love about the romance like book talk community is that not yucking somebody's yum.
Yeah.
Amen. And in the fanfic community, it's called Don't Like, Don't Read, where basically it's like you don't have to judge anybody else for liking this, and it is really fun to be able to broaden your horizons, be like 5 new things were introduced to me in this book. I liked 3 of them. I can leave 2 of them out because they're not going to be my favorite thing forever, but there's no judgment, and that's super
that's
fun.
Kind of like what I'm saying too is I feel like Don't Like, Don't Read doesn't apply to me because I feel
I'm
like I want to read about
Keep
it.
Reading
like even if the difference for me, it's more of like don't like, don't do. Like I want to read about it. If I don't want to apply it in my sex life, then I won't.
I agree.
But I love like reading about what other people are into, even if it's not something I'm
and also sometimes I'm like.
I'm like,
that's
wait, I don't think I'm into that, but like I could.
But am I?
Yeah. Like, I don't really love having vanilla sex, and it's fun every once in a while to read a vanilla book because I'm like, it is the whole point of this is like this little bit of a mental exercise of like what are different things that I could consider that I don't usually do. And sometimes you get bored with whatever you're doing or whatever you're reading, either what you're practicing at home or what you're reading, and you're like, I need a palate cleanser and I want something opposite of what I usually enjoy. So I really like reading with you two because you're very open and non-judgmental, and that's really fun. And it will be exciting to get into other kinks and dynamics because I'm a very kink positive person, and I'm like, you never know can't knock it until you try it. And if you don't even know about it, if you're not like, if you've never read a sex scene where like piss or feet or something weird was like actually intriguing or written well, then of course you might have written it off already, and maybe you'll write it off at the end of the day. But you can't know until you've had a good try.
Willing to at least try reading it. I'm not willing to try anything, but if I try reading it and I'm intrigued, maybe I'd try it.
It's a safe spot in fiction, and fiction's always safe, so it is very fun. And so in this, we get their breeding kink. We don't find out if they get pregnant, but I'm sure in the sequel we do, Princess.
Well, we find out in the Pucking Ever After Volume 1. Do
you find out whose baby it is?
No.
But you will.
I'm sure eventually.
I think that's in Volume 2 that we find out, like, that the paternity test happens.
Okay.
But it is so fun because they have kids, obviously, and so you get these little glimpses throughout the other books of them, like, all being daddies. And like Ilmari retires, so then it's like him and Caleb are both the wags for Jake. Oh my God, cute. And like, because Rachel's the doctor, so she's like not the wag because she's on the bench. And they have like all these special wag jackets. It's like a whole thing, and it's just adorable. I love it.
I can't wait. Okay, so
I love it.
What do you guys rate this book? Because I can give it an easy 5 out of 5.
Oh, this is a 5 for me, for sure. I love this book. I'm so happy you guys like this book.
Yeah, I love this.
Because I loved it so much when I read it, and I just been like wanting to even talk to somebody about it. And I'm glad you guys felt the same way about literally everything that I felt. Like, we were so on the same wavelength.
Okay, so I have to ask you guys, my favorite part, who is your delusional boyfriend? You can only
Caleb. This is literally a why choose novel. Why are you making us choose?
But if I had to choose, the rules. For me, it's Caleb in this book specifically. And like the first time I read it, it was him. So I'm going to stick with Caleb.
Okay. Give us one reason. What's your one reason?
Because I love a dom. That's what I want in my life.
Okay, Bricky.
And also I'm a sucker for like a broody musician type. And also,
and the Jacob's Ladder.
And don't also my first kiss and a guy I was involved with was a double Sagittarius named Caleb, who was a musician. So obviously,
I know all about that.
This one's
I go
much
back
better.
and forth between Caleb and Mars. I can't choose. I'm sorry. I go back and forth, and that's I'm not. Don't look at me.
I'm mad at you because I go back and forth between Caleb and Mars, and I'm mad that you already picked Caleb because I want to pick Caleb because he's dommy, but I'll go ahead and just pick Mars for us so that somebody can
Mars
say
was pretty dommy when it was just the two of them too.
Oh yeah,
so, like,
he's very dommy even.
He's dommy in like a more like
Jake
relaxed way.
Submissive for me.
So, yeah, I am Jake.
Yeah,
as like a person, like I feel like of the people, that's my personality type is like super positive all the time, and then I'm gonna have my moment where I freak out. Like I feel like I already am Jake, so I'm not gonna pick it. I don't need to be with myself.
He also reminds me a lot of Wolfgang, where he's like kind of a himbo and that like very sweetheart, and it's like I've got a lot of that going on already. Ilmari, I'm just like, okay, first of all, he's 6'5". Second of all, monster cock. Third of all, he is dominant in his own way. Like he never. He's a quiet dom. He's a quiet dom, and he's not asserting his dominance over the other guys in a sexual way, but they already see him as the goalie, as the boss. So like he has so much authority over everybody. Plus he has an accent. Like I could just go on all day. So, and he like has been asked, he keeps speaking to her in Finnish and saying, will you marry me? And calling her a goddess and all this shit in Finnish. And she learns how to speak a little bit for him, and all of that dynamic I really love. So I was ready to give this to Caleb before you guys both were split on Caleb. I'm like, okay, I'll give Mars his flowers.
I truly think I'm split between Caleb and Mars for multiple reasons, but I think I ultimately would probably lean more towards Mars. But I'm also, the reason is because of him in this second book. And so, like Phoebe said earlier, I'm trying not to let the next bias, like we're talking about
this book specifically, because Mars is in Pucking Wild, like big time. Because the whole plot is that Tess moves down to Florida to help Mars after he donates all that money to the turtles. He like he becomes his foundation, and so Tess comes to run it for him, so he's involved in the story like heavily,
and just the way that
he is so fantastic
especially
in that
seeing
book.
him from Tessa's point of view and not in a romantic way.
Yes.
It makes me feel more romantic about him.
Okay.
So
and
that's why,
and him in the Pucking Ever Afters, like I really like him. He's like such like, I'm like, oh, I want him to be the father of my children.
Yeah.
Literally. And
that's
so
the energy.
That's why I lean towards Mars. But if I had not read Pucking Ever After or started Pucking Wild, I would say I'm still stuck between Caleb and Mars. But ultimately, it's Mars.
I would normally lean towards Caleb because I always lean towards a queer character who is like very open with their sexuality and open to like.
But Mars is
dynamics.
So curious
that
he's not judgmental.
He's like he like thinks he knows, but then he's also like you just really need to read
Emergency Contact.
You need to read Emergency Contact because you'll see like where things are going with Mars.
I almost started talking about that scene because I read them all so close together that I got mixed up, and I'm glad I didn't because I was going to say something.
Yeah, it's everybody read it.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So with that being said, we will absolutely do a follow-up to this, whether it's multiple bonus episodes or one big on the rest of the series. We will continue our Emily Rath reviews and definitely dive back into this Pucking Around universe. So make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe for those episodes. Turn on your auto download so you never miss any of our bonus content delivering to your feed. We release new episodes every Tuesday and Thursday. On Thursdays, it's BL or romance-centered episodes. And on Tuesdays, it's episodes with my husband where we simp over shonen men, and we're reading One Piece, one manga at a time this year. So please follow along for those. Follow us on our socials, Delusional Boyfriend Book Club and Delusional BF Book Club everywhere.
Yay. Also, sorry this was such a long one, but we had a lot to say, and it is a long book.
And also, I feel like even if it was a 600-page regular romance novel of just two characters, it's one thing. But we have to talk about the character building of four different characters.
Four different relationship dynamics. So sorry, this was so long. I knew it was going to be a long one.
Don't say sorry, say you're welcome. Because
you're welcome.
Some people love long episodes.
I like a long episode of a podcast. So you're all welcome.
And thank you
Imagine
all.
How much cleaning you can get done while you listen to this.
So much. You can paint your whole house.
Yeah.
So thank you guys all so much for being here and listening along. Delusional Boyfriend Book Club is absolutely the highlight of my week and my month. Being able to come together with my girlfriends and release out to you guys and yap about these stories and these characters that we're obsessing about is like, it's just a dream come true.
I was so nervous for the first one, and now it's like I'm just like waiting for the next one.
Yeah, it's so fun.
Constantly waiting. I'm just like counting down until we're doing this again.
And next month we will be getting sad.
Next month is my book, and we are covering the Song of Achilles. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And until next time, remember, sometimes the delusion
is the solution.
Bye.